The guys in this episode, Be Real and Joe Rogan, start talking about the positive effects of mushrooms, psilocybin, which is why I got all these tattoos. I'm a big advocate of mushrooms. This is a great episode. This is a great clip. I am always, again, I'm a huge advocate, so I love hearing about the positive effects. I love talking about the positive effects. And after I'm done playing this clip, I'm going to go into a little bit of story time of how I quit smoking cigarettes and marijuana through the use of psilocybin, and also just like improved a bunch of aspects of my life. It's absolutely incredible. Under the proper supervision, let's get into it.
We thought, okay, when New York rolls, then let's just say Florida and Boston roll, everywhere else will roll over slowly. And that's kind of what's happening. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, man, where we will have it federally legal, but we're going to all pay the price until.
Yeah, then mushrooms.
Then mushrooms.
Mushrooms got to make its way through.
Oh, man, they got to make it. What's crazy is the studies that they've been coming up with as of late, like how they've been using microdose and moderate dose to treat people with depression and anxiety and all the other business, you know what I mean? And, some therapists are talking about how they're actually using microdoses to help people, like, let's just say that they had some sort of ailment, like migraines, for instance, right? They say that they can disconnect whatever that is and rewire, whatever it is causing the migraines to stop them.
Yeah, we're the worst dudes to be talking about neurochemistry.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, rewire. Yeah, I mean, supposedly.
I know people hate when I interrupt, but what he's talking about is neuroplasticity. So what happens is you'll take a dose of psilocybin and then neuroplasticity will take over. It's like in layman's terms, the creation of like new connections in your brain and even regenerating brain cells a little bit. Somebody can call me on that if they want, but that's my understanding of neuroplasticity. It sets off certain synapses and connects your brain in certain ways where it wasn't connected before. And through that, a lot of things are possible, including the relief of chronic migraines. And that is what they're talking about. Neuroplasticity and your little synapses, it's little electrons. They go off and they start connecting like they never connected before. It's a beautiful thing. Let's get back to it.
Psilocybin, rather, is one of the very best things for that.
Yeah.
For curing addictions and people that are dealing with like real serious problems with PTSD and people that are dying and have massive anxiety. It alleviates end-of-life anxiety for them.
Yes, people with anger issues too. I mean, it's people that pop off for any given reason, man. You give them some microdoses and they're the nicest people in the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure a factor with cannabis too, man. I mean, cannabis makes people so much friendlier.
Yeah, you don't. I think it puts you in a relaxed state, whether you choose it or not.
Right.
I've stood out of a lot of altercations being as high as I am because, somebody might throw an insult here and there, and I may not even be paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whereas if I'm not, I'm totally paying attention to that.
And it escalates.
And it's going to escalate.
Yeah, which is the. This episode is brought to you by Healthy Routine of AG1, new Healthy Routine. They're great. It's very convenient to have around. Which is the worst.
Because a lot of us that are high strung without it, man, it sort of grounds us out.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Exercise and weed.
Exercise.
Is a great combination for being a peaceful, kind person.
Absolutely. And
really
good health.
Yeah, and good health.
Because weed keeps you young, man.
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
Well, it definitely keeps you relaxed, which can help you stay young.
Yeah.
At least give you a young mindset.
Yeah, the stresses of life can age you.
Yeah, it's like we just concentrate on the petty bullshit. It's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it.
Yeah, like we used to do mushrooms a lot, and I told a couple of stories when I was on the last time I was here. But that it used to be a part of our journey, man. Like we'd get on stage, mushrooms, and like just go on the ride.
Yeah.
After a while, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't like be on stage and be totally in the melt, we call it, where it's like where it's above micro, it's above moderate, like you're a full melt, right? As they say. And it was harder for me to be in front of people doing that because I had like these issues deeply rooted that I was angry about. And every time I got to that place, that's what I'd focus on. And I didn't want to feel that ugliness. So I waited till I got over whatever that issue was. And then I started, you know, slowly doing mushrooms again, microdosing first and then moderate. And I started feeling good about it again. And I realized how much, you know, it actually helped me push away from whatever that issue was when I did it the first time.
Yeah, just something you were focusing on, right?
Yeah,
you just needed to work out.
Yeah, I often say if you're going to try mushrooms beyond micro, right? Like try to deal with whatever issues you got before you go in and have a friend there to help you, like to be in the world there with you, you know?
That's what everybody used to use, a sitter. That was always the big thing. If you did mushrooms, you should have a sitter. You know, the best case scenario, you would have qualified professionals that would assist in psychedelic therapy, which is what happens for a lot of people. You know, I know people that have done that in other states where it's legal or illegal. And where it's legal, I mean, it's amazing. You can go to a place and someone who understands the experience and knows what to do can help you through it. And I know people that have made some big breakthroughs in their life and just sort of reassessed how they interface with the world because of that.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you could find something that would help you get past whatever is you know, holding you back or troubling you, weighing you down, man. I mean, it's better than taking any of these over-the-counter drugs for that might suppress those feelings or thoughts than have you deal with them and get past them.
Yeah. Well, that kind of thinking is why it's going to stay illegal.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money to be lost with marijuana and psilocybin and all these things becoming legal. There's a lot of shit that people are taking that might not be necessary and might have some unintended side effects and consequences that you don't get with natural remedies.
Right. It's like they say, there's no money in the cure.
Yeah. There should be.
There should be.
Yeah.
But for them, there isn't. Like,
it's such a problem when people can make a lot of money off of something.
Man, huge problem. Huge problem. I love hearing people talk about psilocybin. Again, like I said, I'm a huge advocate. I got mushrooms just like all over my arm. I got this one in Vegas. I got this big one I got on my arm in Hawaii, and then I got one in LA. And it's just, man, like I tried quitting smoking for years. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And I remember I went on a, experience, allegedly. All this is alleged. Maybe I'm just making it up. It's just a movie. This is just a performance. I'm just a character. But let's just say I went on this journey. I did what is called a hero dose. 7 grams. It's 5 grams, but I did 7 because it was just like easier to just have a quarter and just do it. 2/8 if you're 2/8. So I did that, and I remember I had the intention. Setting your intention is so vital when you're in these experiences. I had the intention of quitting smoking, and I remember I was staring at a forest, and I was thinking about quitting smoking cigarettes. Like I wanted to stop. And I promised myself I wouldn't smoke when I was on that journey. And I didn't. And I just remember going through all my thought processes. And it was so much easier to do when you're in this experience. And I went back to when I started smoking. And then I went into my mind of the person I was in the past and tried to access why did this person start smoking. And I remember figuring it out because I was a young kid and I kept failing in school. And it was annoying me more than anything. And I had this realization, like, when you're in this experience, you have these wild realizations. And I started realizing, I'm not that kid anymore. Like I was like 12 when I started, 13. And I was like, I'm not that kid anymore. And then all of a sudden something came to me and it was like, your cells switch over every 7 years. So you're not even physically the same person. You're not mentally the same person. You're not emotionally the same person. And then something came to me. I was sobering up, and something was like, go home. Go home. And I remember I was on the way home, and something was like, if you can go 24 hours, you can go the rest of your life. And I remember I was like, what the hell? And it was like, if you can go 24 hours, you can go the rest of your life. And for some reason, still in the experience, I started realizing I started doing the like the math of like 24 hours. And then that 24 hours can turn into a week turns into a month turns into a year turns into 10 years. Like I just started doing the math. And then all of a sudden I felt this relief. It was like there was these connections happening that have never happened before. And then I remember I was like, I usually, before I would go to bed, I would always smoke. I'd always smoke some weed and smoke some tobacco. And something was just like, get into bed. And I just got into bed. And I remember thinking, I'm done. Like it was like a relief. I was like, I'm finally done. And I closed my eyes and I fell asleep. And that never happens. I always needed to smoke before I go to sleep. And I opened my eyes like in the morning, and I woke up with no withdrawal whatsoever and no cravings whatsoever. It was gone. Like if anybody out there is addicted to cigarettes or anything, like imagine waking up and you're not jonesing for a cigarette and you have zero withdrawal. You're not getting antsy or anything. It was just gone. Like, and it was so weird to the point where I was sitting around and I'm like, why don't I want a cigarette? I was like, what's going on? And that was like almost like at least 10 years ago, like just gone. It disappeared, just disappeared. It was the weirdest, wildest thing. And not to mention the things I dealt with in terms of like my father not being around and the anger I had there and the resentment that I had towards certain people. Like I just worked out so much stuff going deep into these experiences. I always did it with somebody around. I always made sure I have a partner, my buddy Mike. He was always there for me. Like in case things went off the deep end, he'd reel me in, which never did. I was always good. But yeah, it was just, if you do it properly with a lot of reverence and respect and intention, it can do such incredible things for you. You have no idea. Or maybe you do. I don't know. But I just wanted to say that. I'm out.